Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
What's up, LumioseStation, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. In last week's episode, we covered the only Nightmare Pokémon, Darkrai, followed or joined by Patters, obviously. And I asked you guys which Pokemon do you want to see this week. The choices were Galvantula and Heliolisk, and Galvantula 1. So that's who we're covering this week. However, we have next week's vote coming up, and because it's another 10th episode, I don't know, it's episode 80, I think, isn't it? We have a Mega Evolution coming up, and we're going hone here, guys. Which Mega Evolution do you want to see? Do you want to see Mega Sceptile? Do you want to see Mega Blaziken? Or do you want to see Mega Swampert? Let me know down below which one you want to see, just by commenting Sceptile, Blaziken, or Swampert. And the one that gets the most votes will be covered in next week's episode of the Pokemon DataDex. But now, let's get on and let's start covering Galvantula. So Galvantula, it's number 596 in the National Pokédex, being introduced in Unova. Is it Unova? Yes, Unova. Generation 5, that's the one. And is a bug electric type, and as such, it is the Spider Pokemon. Electric Spider Pokemon, basically. Dimension-wise, it stands, or its body comes up to about 2 foot 7 inches or 0.8 meters tall, so it's a pretty big spider. So if you've got a fear of spiders, that's probably not going to be your favourite Pokemon. And it weighs 31.5 pounds or 14.3 kilograms. Breeding-wise, it's in the bug, egg group, and the male-female split is 50-50, so nothing too special there. Evolution-wise, it evolves from its pre-evolution Joltik, one of the smallest Pokemon, at level 36, so really you have to deal with a small Joltik for a long while. But it is worth it once you get your Galvantula, because that thing is powerful, as we'll see. Base stats then, as obviously this is where the power comes in, we can see if we just look at them all, its highest base stat here is speed at 108, so it's a nice speedy Pokemon. And then next down, I guess, is special attack at 97, and then going on further we have attack at 77, health points at 70, and then defense and special defense at 60. So you can see it's not a very defensive Pokemon, it is basically just speedy and fairly powerful. It's not a hugely high special attack stat, but it's a pretty good special attack stat, and with that 108 speed rather, you're going to be pretty fast and you're going to outspeed a lot of things. However, your defenses, you're not going to be hanging around in battle too much because they are just very poor. Ability-wise, for Galvantula, there are 3 available, which are: one is Compound Eyes, which boosts the Pokemon's accuracy by 30%. So, for example, a move that has 70% accuracy normally will have 91% accuracy. So it's pretty good, actually. As long as you've got moves that benefit from it. Then we have Unnerve, which makes opposing Pokemon unable to eat berries. It can work well, obviously, if you're facing against someone with a Citrus Berry, or possibly a Chesto Berry with Rest Set, whatever, or Harvest, of course, but it's only going to work if, of course, the enemy has a berry. If they don't have a berry, your ability is basically useless. The hidden ability for Galvantula here is Swarm, which boosts up your bug-type moves when you're in trouble, i.e. when your health is less than 30%. However, with your low defenses, you're hardly going to ever be at 30% or less health points, because you're just going to get taken out in 1 or 2 hits, doing about half damage or whatever. The only thing I could see it working in is if you had a Focus Sash, because then you definitely end up with 1 health point as long as you got taken out in 1 turn, and your next attack would be boosted, but that's for 1 attack. It's not going to be that useful. So overall, the most useful ability actually is Compound Eyes, for reasons we'll look at when we get to the moves and the sets. Then if we look at Galvantula's typing, being a bug electric type, it's not an amazing type, but it's pretty good. It resists grass, electric, fighting and steel type moves, and is weak to only fire and rock type moves, taking neutral from all the rest. So it has more resistances than weaknesses, actually double the resistances than it does weaknesses. However, it does still take a lot of neutral damage, and this isn't good anyway because of your low defenses. So really, the typing doesn't really matter for Galvantula, I guess you could say, because you're not gonna, even if you resist a grass type move, it's probably only going to take 2 or 3 to take you down. It's not like you're going to be able to bulk it up and survive loads of moves. So really, the typing is, I guess, irrelevant for Galvantula, just because, you're not focusing on defense. We're not worried about what types we're taking, basically. We're not worried about what moves we take and trying to, take the least damage as possible. We just want to do damage, basically. Do damage and other stuff as well. So we can look at the moves to find out this other stuff. The first move we have is learnt at level 4, obviously when you're a Joltik, or at TM 73, and this is Thunder Wave, and this will paralyze the opponent. Why is this good? Well, obviously you can paralyze the opponent, half their speed for the rest of your team to deal with, and of course, using the set, you can just, because you're faster, you can Thunder Wave them. They're paralyzed, their speed is already slower than yours most likely, so it gets halved again, so that you're definitely slower, and of course they may get fully paralyzed on the same turn you paralyze them, which is pretty good. I would not complain if that happened to me. But, Thunder Wave is generally just a good move. You can paralyze your opponent, and then, unless they've got a Heal Bell, or an Aromatherapy on the other team, or of course a Cherry Berry, but that's a bit weird, then of course they're just going to paralyze the rest of the match, basically, and your team can outspeed them, because once a Pokemon is paralyzed, generally, the rest of your team is going to outspeed unless you have a really, really slow Pokemon. So it's a really, really good move to sort of think about running on Galvantula at least. Getting on some more interesting moves though, or more powerful moves, I guess. At level 60 it can learn Bug Buzz, which is a pretty powerful special type bug move, or special bug type move, that's the one. And this is sort of your bug type stab here, because as we saw, our special attack is higher than physical. We're not going to be using physical attack, please. So special attack and Bug Buzz is the highest bug stab, and of course you want to take advantage of your stabs, otherwise you're going to do less damage anyway. And obviously, your weaknesses are fire and rock, so bug isn't going to really help against that, but it will give you coverage against loads of other types like grass and dark and psychic. So, it's a pretty good move, and obviously you get stab on it, so that's the main reason you want to run it. Then at level 65, it learns one of its other sort of utility moves, which is Sticky Web. Sticky Web works similarly to Spikes or Stealth Rock, instead of damaging the opponent when they come out, they get their speed reduced. So basically any Pokemon that comes out onto the field after will have, I think, like half speed almost, or like a minus 30% speed, and in that case most of your team is going to outspeed yet again unless you have a really slow Pokemon. So Sticky Web is a really good tool, because if you can get Sticky Web set up, a lot of your Pokemon on your team that wouldn't have been able to outspeed and get stuff in like that, they will. So Sticky Web is good as long as the opponent hasn't got a Rapid Spinner or a Defogger left on their team. So Galvantula, obviously you might not want to use it straight off, just Sticky Web up, because they could just send their Defogger in, defog it away and kill the Galvantula. You might want to leave the Galvantula for later in the game, later in the battle, and then sort of throw it out and Sticky Web once the Defogger is gone, and that's going to help you out, especially if combined with a Thunder Wave, because they're not going to be speeding at all, they're just going to be going slowly, right down to the speed limit. Then, looking at some TMs, we have TM10 Hidden Power. Obviously, the power of this move, the type of this move is, well, the power and the type, I think, isn't it? Or just at least the type, is dependent on your IVs. The best type to have for this would be Ground, though, because obviously your two weaknesses are Fire and Rock type moves. Ground is super effective against both of those, so if you have a Hidden Power Ground, obviously any Fire or Rock type Pokemon that come out to use those stab moves on you, you're going to be able to hit with a Ground type Hidden Power. It's not the most powerful, but it will most likely do more damage than a Bug Buzz, for example. However, Thunder, which is our next move, TM25, may do more damage, and obviously this is our other stab move. It's an electric type move, it's pretty powerful. You could run Thunderbolt as well, but the reason for running Thunder is because of Compound Eyes. Thunder has a 70% accuracy. Combined with Compound Eyes, that brings it up to about 91%, which is pretty good. You're not going to be missing Thunder as much, and obviously if you have a Rain team, again, Thunder is just going to be hitting all the time. But with a 91% accuracy, it's much better, and Thunder is much more reliable to run, hence why Compound Eyes is generally the better ability out of all of them, and hence why I want to think about running Thunder over Thunderbolt, because that is a lot of extra power we have compared to Thunderbolt. You could run Thunderbolt if you want to be extra careful at TM26, but Thunder is, I don't want to say better, but it's more reliable with Galvantula. Then one last TM we have is TM72 Volt Switch, very similar to Thunder, I guess. In the case it's a special type electric move. It doesn't have quite as much power, but it does allow you to switch out of the battle. So say you lead off with your Galvantula right at the start of the game, and they send in something that's going to have a move that's going to want to kill you, basically. You can Volt Switch, hopefully be faster, and then you'll just come out and then switch to whatever Pokemon you want. And obviously it's good sometimes if your opponent's going to double switch, I guess, or if they're going to switch and then if you can predict them to switch, you can use Volt Switch, they'll switch, send a new Pokemon in, you'll Volt Switch that Pokemon, leave out, and you'll be able to choose another Pokemon to come in to deal with that one. Generally what I'm trying to say is Volt Switch is a very flexible move. Then one last move we have here for Galvantula is actually a tutor move from Auras, which is Giga Drain. And obviously this is going to restore some of your health points, and it's a pretty powerful move as well. Before Auras came out, Energy Balls run on Galvantula sets, however with Giga Drain being available as a tutor move, it's more powerful, so why would you not run it? And of course it restores some health points. I mean, not that we're going to really think about, oh yeah, we're going to restore loads of health points, it's going to be great. But some more health points I'm never going to complain about, especially if, for example, you're running a Focus Sash, say you come in and hit some Stealth Rocks, you can Giga Drain, get some health points back, and if you get to full health points, your Focus Sash is then going to proc next time you get attacked if you land to 1 health points. So it's helpful in that sort of situation, and of course it's a grass type move, so it's going to give you more coverage against other moves, especially rock, or types rather, especially rock, because obviously you're weak to rock, but as well as, you know, ground and water as well. So I mean, you have Thunder for water, but you guys get the idea there. It's a good coverage move in general. So those are the sort of moves you might want to run on Galvantula. If we take a look at the sets, we're going to look at 2 sets here. One is sort of your basic Galvantula set, bit of utility, bit of attacking, and the other one is straight up attacking, okay? So, the first set, the moveset, is going to be Sticky Web, Thunder, Bug Buzz, and then Thunder Wave or Giga Drain. Ability is Compound Eyes, Nature is Timid, held item is a Focus Sash, EVs are maximum special attack, maximum speed, and the rest in special defense. So, first up moveset, Sticky Web is sort of the main point of why would you run this Galvantula here. As I mentioned earlier, it's probably best not to to lead out with it in case they have a defogger, so maybe leave it later on into the game, send it out, Sticky Web, and then you could switch your Galvantula back out again, and then obviously any Pokemon after that is going to have lowered speed, which means Galvantula is basically going to outspeed everything. So if you can get your Galvantula to survive into sort of the late game, where the enemy just was all slowed basically, Galvantula is going to wreck house here. It's not the most powerful, but can do decent damage. Thunder here is your main ledge type stab, combined with Compound Eyes is going to give it better accuracy, so you may as well run that. Bug Buzz, again your other stab here, and then last up, Thunder Wave or Giga Drain is up to you. Thunder Wave, you could paralyze some opponents to get an even lower speed to help out the rest of your team, or you can go for Giga Drain just as a third option for the move. Especially because we're using a Focus Sash, as I mentioned here. If you came in on Stealth Rocks, you're going to take a bit of damage from that, so you could Giga Drain to get back to full health points and allow the Focus Sash to sort of, to get off the next time you get attacked. In terms of the rest of the set here, Nature is Timid because we want to be as fast as possible, so we can set the Sticky Web up, the Thunder Wave up as soon as possible, basically. And the EVs, maximum special attack and speed, you can guess, and the rest in special defense, just to give. You could put it in physical or special defense, it's really up to you, there's nothing really, because you're not defensive at all, so there's no point in saying, oh yeah, I'm going to go full defense Galvantula, that's going to work. But you guys get the idea there. So how would you use this set? Well, I sort of already mentioned it. You sort of go in, maybe not right at the start of the game, maybe mid-game sort of time. Sticky Web, you might get attacked and taken down to your Focus Sash. If that happens, you generally want to go for either a Thunder or a Bug Buzz. Giga Drain, unless it's a Pokemon that's 4 times weak to Grass, is not going to get you enough health points back to, to get you back to full health points again. And of course, your Focus Sash is then gone. Anyway, so you've got basically 1 turn living still, so you may as well go for your most powerful move on the Pokemon. Depends on that Pokemon, of course. If it's a flying type, Thunder. If it's a dark type, Bug Buzz. If it's a fire type, you're screwed. But you guys get the idea there. You can also run Thunder Wave in the last slot rather than not Thunder Wave, Hidden Power in the last slot rather than Thunder Wave or Giga Drain. But it's really up to you. Thunder Wave might work better because it's a utility set. Giga Drain might work better just to get your proc on that Focus Sash. Then if we look at the second set here, as I mentioned, this is basically a full attacking set, so it's very simple. We have Thunder, Bug Buzz, Hidden Power, preferably Ground, and then Giga Drain or Volt Switch. Ability is Compound Eyes once more, Nature is Timid, and the held item is a Life Orb or a Choice Specs. And if we look at the EVs, we have Maximum Special Attack, Maximum Speed, and the rest in Special Defense once more. So, what we're looking at here? Well, Thunder and Bug Buzz are your 2 stabs, that's basic. Thunder again combined with Compound Eyes, gives you better accuracy. Then we have Hidden Power Ground, that's going to cover your Fire and your Rock types, as well as some other types as well that you wouldn't be able to hit otherwise, really, like Steel types. So, you sort of really want to run that if you're for a full attacking set, because otherwise, Fire type comes out, you're kind of screwed. But then in the last slot we have Giga Drain or Volt Switch. It's up to you which one you run here. Giga Drain gives you more coverage and of course the option to have a bit more health point restoration. Not that you're going to be able to survive too many moves, but if you're running a Life Orb, you're going to be losing health anyway, so Giga Drain could be nice to sort of counteract that. Or you could run a Volt Switch to be a bit more flexible and not have to sort of stay in battle and have to switch out. Especially with choice specs, you could just switch in and then just go choice specs, volt switch, and switch out again, basically. Because if you're running choice specs, volt switch is only going to be helpful if you use it on the first turn you come in. Otherwise, you're locked into that move, which wouldn't be helpful anyway because you'd be switched out. But I mean, if you go in, if you use Thunder, you're locked into that move over and over. And some sort of cases, it's going to be a case if you switch Galvantula in, you choose a move and you keep using it till you die. Of course, you could switch out and sort of keep it around for later on if you're using choice specs, but it depends how the battle's going, I guess. Life Orb is going to power your moves, however it's going to make you lose some health points, but it could be the better option here, because obviously you're not going to be able to take you're going to be able to take a couple moves anyway, so is that extra health you're losing really going to matter? If the enemy is going to do half damage to you, you're faster, you get an attack off, you lose a bit of health points, they do half damage, so you're about 40% damage, something like that, and you get another attack off, and then you're dead. If you hadn't had Life Orb, if you had Choice Specs, for example, you would have just taken half damage, you'd be dead anyway. So, really, Life Orb is better, I guess, in that case, because obviously you can switch between the moves if you wanted to, say they switch Pokemon or whatever, or if you killed the first Pokemon, and then they sent out another one that was immune to the type, or, absorb the type, something like that. Say you use Thunder and they switch into a ground type. You're screwed if you got choice specs, and of course it's going to be risky to switch in later on in the game. So Life Orb, if some situations Life Orb could be better because you can then switch to Giga Drain, for example, and then just kill it. So I prefer Life Orb in my opinion because choice specs can be a bit limiting, but of course it's up to you. You just got to sort of try it out and see what works best for you guys. But that's sort of how you'd use Galvantula on those sets. If you enjoyed the video, guys, be sure to hit the like button, and of course be sure to vote down below which Pokemon you want to see next week, either Sceptile, Blaziken or Swampert. Which Hoenn Mega Evolution do you want to see? But for now, guys, that's going to be it for me for today. I thank you for watching. I'll be seeing you next time. Goodbye, my friends.